Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really visual journey. We're diving deep into capturing, amazing photos and videos.
Yeah, getting those memories looking great.
Exactly. And we're using insights from this really thorough guide about adventures in Vietnam specifically. So the mission, give you the shortcut, basically, to making your travel memories truly shine.
Whether that's in ancient towns or over incredible landscapes.
For sure. Okay, but before we really get into it, just a quick note. If you're enjoying this deep dive, maybe consider buying me a coffee. You can just scan the QR code in the podcast cover art. It honestly really helps us keep the series going, so thank you. All right, let's unpack this. So I've always kind of assumed, stunning photos, cinematic video, that means big bucks for gear.
Right, that's the common thought.
But this guide really hammers home something different, which honestly kind of surprised me. It's saying great visuals aren't really about the most expensive camera.
Not primarily, no. It's much more about timeless techniques, things anyone can actually learn and master.
Okay, so what's the absolute bedrock? Where does the guide start?
It really comes down to three core pillars, like the foundation. Doesn't matter what gear you have, it's composition, lighting, and timing.
Right.
Get those down.
Yeah.
And you're already starting to see things differently, more like a pro.
Okay, let's tackle composition first. Sounds a bit technical, maybe.
Well, it's really just about how you arrange things in the frame. What you put where.
We all know the rule of thirds, right? Turn on those grid lines on your phone.
Yeah, that classic trick. Put your subject off center, gives it a bit more energy, more balance.
But how does the guide say to use it, specifically in a place like Vietnam, make it really work?
Well, it's interesting. It's not just using the rule, but knowing when maybe to bend it a little or adapt it.
Ah, okay.
Think about those amazing ancient temples in Vietnam. Super intricate, lots of layers. The guide suggests that maybe sticking rigidly to the rule of thirds might actually diminish the sense of scale.
I see. So sometimes breaking it captures the grandeur better.
Exactly. A slight shift off that perfect grid placement might be needed to really convey how massive or detailed something is.
That's a really neat insight. Okay, and speaking of perspective, angles must be huge. Thinking about those temples again or mountains.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Low angles shooting upwards makes things look super dramatic, imposing, perfect for capturing, say, a temple in Hanoi or just the sheer size of a mountain range.
Makes sense.
And then the opposite. If you've got some amazing Vietnamese street food, beautifully laid out.
Oh, yeah, the four.
Right. The top-down shot, looking straight down, that's your go-to for those lovely flat lays. Works wonders.
Okay, and leading lines. Paths, bridges.
Huge. Things like paths winding through rice paddies, old bridges, even just the curve of a shoreline. They act like visual guides, sort of pulling the viewer's eye into and through the picture, like a little journey within the frame.
I love that, a visual journey. Okay, next pillar, light. Photographers always talk about light. The golden hour gets a big mention in the guide, right?
It's everything, basically. That magic time just after sunrise or just before sunset, the light is warm, it's soft, it's diffused. Incredibly flattering for almost anything.
Yeah.
But the guide had this cool trick for busy Vietnamese cities, using that warm glow, not just because it's pretty, but to actually isolate your subject.
How so?
Well, amidst a really crowded, chaotic street scene, that soft, directional light can pick out one person, one detail, and make them stand out beautifully, turning chaos into something serene. Much harder to do with harsh light.
Ah, so it's a tool for focus too, not just mood. What about the middle of the day then? That harsh sun, I always find it just flattens everything out.
You're absolutely right. The guide definitely advises avoiding that direct overhead sun around noon. Unless, you're deliberately going for those really strong, dramatic shadows as an artistic choice.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, it tends to wash things out, create nasty highlights, especially on people's faces. Not usually what you want.
Okay, so much to think about before you even hit record or snap the picture. Then there's movement. Photos are still, obviously, but the guide talks about bringing movement in. How does that work?
Well, yeah, photos capture a moment, but hinting at movement or capturing it in video adds so much life. Tells more of a story.
So like panning.
That, or even just moving with your subject.
Okay.
Following the action in a busy market. The guide also suggests using slow-mo for those really bustling market scenes and lets you capture the vibrant chaos but makes it easier to kind of digest visually.
Oh, that's clever.
Or using time-lapse for clouds drifting over Ha Long Bay, those incredible limestone karsts. It adds dynamism. It's about capturing the feel of the place, its energy, not just a static image.
Which leads nicely to the last basic principle, Stability. Definitely guilty of ruining good video with shaky hands.
We all are. It's so easy to do. But yeah, no matter how great the composition or light is, if the video's bouncing all over the place, it just looks amateur instantly, especially video. So what's fascinating here is how just mastering these simple things, composition, light, timing, adding movement thoughtfully, and keeping it steady, really elevates any shot. From just a quick snap to something genuinely impactful. And that's true whatever camera you're using.
It's brilliant practical advice.
Yeah.
Covers the art, but okay, even with the know-how, the right tools can make applying these principles easier, right?
That's for sure.
What did the guide highlight there? Especially for, the average traveler not packing a cinema rig.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much power we actually carry around now. Smartphones are just incredible these days.
Totally.
The guide points to models like the iPhone 14 or 15 Pro, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Google Pixel 8. These are highlighted as top contenders that honestly give pro cameras a run for their money for photo and video quality.
It really is wild what phones can do now. What specific settings or features on these phones did the guide say really make the difference? Put them in that pro zone.
Okay, two key things. First, shooting in 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, 4K 60.
Right.
The guide stresses this isn't just about making it look sharper. That high frame rate is crucial for capturing smooth motion. Think about the frenetic energy of a Vietnamese market. 60p keeps it crisp, less blurry, or like the graceful movements in a water puppet show.
Gotcha. Smoother action. And the other thing.
High dynamic range, or HDR. Super important. Imagine you're shooting on a sunny beach in Phu Quoc, bright sky, but also deep shadows under the trees or umbrellas.
Yeah, tricky lighting.
HDR helps you capture detail in both the very bright and the very dark parts of the scene at the same time. So you don't get a totally blown out sky or just black shadows where you can't see anything. Really helps balance those high contrast scenes, like inside an ancient temple looking out a bright doorway.
Okay, those specific uses really clarify why those settings matter. Beyond phones, what about action? That tiny beast the guide mentioned.
Ah yes, the GoPro. The guide singles out the Hero 12. Calls it a tiny beast for a reason. It's brilliant for action shots, anything involving water, vlogging on the move.
And super versatile with mounts, right?
Totally. Stick it on your chest, your helmet, a selfie stick. You can get some really wild point of view shots. Imagine like suckling through Hoi An streets with it on your chest, capturing everything zipping by. Puts the viewer right there.
Sounds awesome. Okay, and smoothing things out. My walking shots always look like an earthquake hit. The guide had a solution, a game changer.
Yes, gimbals or stabilizers. If you want those lovely, smooth, gliding shots while you're walking or even just panning, a gimbal is basically essential for non-pro cameras.
Like a Steadicam for your phone.
Pretty much. It mechanically stabilizes your phone or small camera, makes walking shots look incredibly fluid, almost cinematic. The guide specifically shouts out the DJI Osmo Mobile 6 and the Xenon Smooth 5S as great options.
Good to know. And finally, something simple. Tripods. Or even those little clip-on holders. Guide says always carry one.
A lightweight one.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential for a few things. Group shots, obviously, if you want to be in the picture too.
Right. Set the timer.
And really crucial for night photography. If you want clear, sharp photos when it's dark, you often need a longer exposure time to let more light in. Any handshake during that time will blur the shot. Tripod eliminates that.
Makes sense.
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, having these tools, which are pretty accessible now, it really empowers your creativity. When the gear isn't fighting you, when it's making things easier.
You can focus on the shot itself.
Exactly. You can focus more on the moment, on the story you're trying to capture, instead of wrestling with technical stuff.
So what this boils down to for you listening is that getting those professional looking, really evocative travel shots and videos, it's totally within reach. You don't necessarily need to spend a fortune on gear. Okay, so we've got the techniques, we've got the gear sorted. Now, where should we actually point our cameras? The guide gives us a tour of Vietnam's most photogenic spots, the top 5, right? Places basically made for cameras.
Yeah, it highlights some incredible locations. First up, probably the most iconic, Ha Long Bay in Quang Ninh. The tip here is definitely film from a boat deck, especially sunrise or sunset. That soft light hitting the water, those massive limestone karsts, it's just magical, almost otherworldly.
Okay, forgetting the scale.
A drone would be amazing, obviously, for those sweeping aerials. But even just a GoPro mounted on the front of the boat can give you really dynamic shots that show how vast it is.
Nice. Okay, number 2.
We head north to the Sapa Rice Terraces in Lao Cai. Just imagine these incredible layered mountains, often misty, with rice paddies terraced down the slopes.
Stunning.
Yeah, and it's not just the landscape, it's the rich ethnic culture there, too.
That.
The guide says the best times visually are planting season, May, June, when the terraces are full of water reflecting the sky, or harvest season, September, October, when everything turns this brilliant gold. And it suggests trying to capture local farmers working adds real authenticity.
Love that. Okay, next. Somewhere charming.
Absolutely. Hoi, an ancient town in Gwangnam, famous for those iconic yellow walls, all the lanterns, the bicycles.
Yeah.
It's incredibly
They're
picturesque.
crowded, right?
Can be. So the key tip, go early, like really early morning. Avoid the main crowds. Capture the town when it's quiet and feels more magical. That soft morning light on the yellow walls. It's almost like a painting, much better than harsh midday sun.
Good tip. Number 4.
Muksha Plateau in Sun La.
This is different. Think vast, rolling tea hills, huge fields of flowers depending on the season, and glimpses of local ethnic life.
Sounds wide open.
Exactly. Perfect for wide shots. This is where a gimbal for smooth panning shots, or again, a drone if you have one, can really capture the immense scale and beauty of the landscape. Sweeping shots over those green tea hills. Just gorgeous.
Okay, and the 5th one.
Alat City down in Lamptong, known as the City of Eternal Spring, but also famous for its fog. Dreamy fog, pine forests all around, French colonial architecture. It's got a unique mood.
So embrace the fog.
Definitely. The guide says it's great for long exposures capturing the movement of the fog or stars at night. It's also known as a romantic spot, great for couple shots because of that picturesque, slightly moody vibe. Don't fight the fog, use it.
Love it. And there were honorable mentions, too.
Yeah, quickly. The historic Long Bien Bridge in Hanoi, really industrial and cool. The landscapes around Ninh Binh, sometimes called Ha Long Day on land. And the amazing beach sunsets on Phu Quoc Island.
Wow. So here's where it gets really interesting. These places aren't just pretty backgrounds. They offer these incredible, unique visual stories waiting to be told. Each one has such distinct character.
That's a great point. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How picking the right location is almost part of the storytelling. It's not just what you film, but where you film it. That setting massively shapes the narrative, the feeling of your photos and videos.
Totally. Okay, so you've navigated the location, you used the right techniques, maybe even got that gimbal shot, you've got the raw material. But you're not done yet, are you? The guide really stresses this next part.
No, definitely not done. Post-production is where the magic often happens.
Yeah.
It's taking that raw footage, those raw photos, and refining them, making them truly shine, telling the story you intended.
It's not just fixing mistakes then.
Not at all. It's about enhancing, clarifying, bringing out the best, improving the narrative flow, the emotional punch.
And the good news is you don't need like a Hollywood editing suite anymore. The guide lists some great apps, right? Accessible stuff.
Yeah, totally. For mobile, CapCut gets a mention. It's described as easy to use, free, kind of TikTok style, but actually pretty powerful for quick edits.
Okay.
Another good mobile one is VN Editor. Big pluses. No watermark, has pro-level features, and it's apparently great for making those short videos like Instagram Reels.
Nice. What about something a bit more serious but still mobile?
For iOS users, iPad or iPhone LumaFusion is highlighted. That's positioned as a more serious, professional-grade mobile editor.
Gotcha. And from the big names.
Adobe Premiere Rush is mentioned. Think of it as a simplified, more user-friendly version of their Pro software, Premiere Pro. Good for mobile, good for quick edits, syncs across devices.
So plenty of options. Now, for editing itself, the basics like adding music, transitions, text, these apps make that easy. But the guide had a really important legal tip.
Crucial one, yeah. Music rights. If you're planning to share your video anywhere, public, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, you have to check that you have the right to use the music.
Otherwise,
Your video could get taken down or muted. Big headache. Always use royalty-free music libraries or check the licenses carefully.
good warning. What about aesthetics? Filters and stuff?
The advice is clear. Don't overdo it. Less is often more. The goal is to enhance reality, not create something totally artificial. And a key point, keep skin tones looking natural. That's a big one for making shots feel honest.
Right, avoid the orange face look.
Okay.
And just simple color tweaks can help.
Absolutely. Sometimes just a little boost in contrast, making the darks darker and lights lighter, and maybe a touch more vibrancy or saturation to make the colors pop slightly. That can make a big difference without looking fake.
Okay. And one last tip for videos, especially with talking.
Subtitles. If there's dialogue, adding subtitles is huge for accessibility and engagement. So many people scroll feeds with the sound off. Subtitles let them follow along.
Makes total sense. So pulling all that together, it really feels like pro-level editing is within everyone's grasp now, right? On your phone or tablet.
It really is.
And the key takeaway seems to be editing is about enhancing the story you already captured, bringing out its best, not trying to fake something or distort reality.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's about polishing that gem you found, not trying to turn it into something it isn't. Honesty in the edit, reflecting what you saw and felt.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, the core message we got from this guide on filming and photography in Vietnam, and it really seems to be this. Forget perfection. Forget having the priciest gear.
Yeah.
It's really about capturing moments, well, honestly, beautifully, letting your camera, whatever it is, tell the story of your experience.
And that actually leads to maybe a deeper thought, something for you to consider. As you get better at this, as you learn to capture these moments more effectively,
Right.
how do you strike that balance? Between the desire to film everything, to photograph constantly, and the, profound importance of just being there, of experiencing the moment directly, without a lens in front of your face.
That's a big question.
It is, so maybe think about that.
Yeah.
When is the right time to put the camera down, even if the light is perfect, and just fully soak in where you are and what's happening?
That is a wonderful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into capturing those incredible travel memories. Until next time.